So I'm quite surprised by this. Jaws, the classic, which people would call the first blockbuster. So it appears that Steven Spielberg rejected a Jaws reboot idea, which to me is surprising. Although I'm still surprised that he let them touch Indiana Jones. That was a bad move, that was. But you've just got to move on and act as if the fourth one and the new one ain't happening. It isn't a thing. And could you imagine them doing a Jaws reboot in this fucking what it's like at the moment? The shark would be a woman of colour. Pronouns they, them. That wouldn't surprise me in the least. But it just shows how Hollywood is they're so adamant in just rebooting everything. It's like, because now there's only a select few directors and that actually go out of their way and create something brand new. Sometimes it may not be the best one, but at least it's an original idea. And I say classic, in my house it's fucking overdone. Because in the UK it's on like almost every month, once a month or something it's on. So my dad's always fucking watching it. But I mean, it is a classic, the first blockbuster. So it looks like this won't be getting rebooted anytime soon. It probably will eventually. They'll wait on Steven Spielberg being gone, and then they'll probably jump in and try and do it. But it looks for the present that this won't be getting a reboot anytime soon. Well, unless he comes across a script that he likes and then they do it, but I don't really know what you're going to get out of rebooting Jaws. I am sick to the back teeth of hearing about, oh, we want to reboot this and reboot that and reimagine this and reimagine that. So go and come up with something new. Clearly they're accepting defeat if they're obsessed with reboots. Because they seem to think that it's gonna work the way it did when the original came out. We see it where there's hardly ever any reboots that work out. So why they keep trying to do it is I don't understand it. It's just easy, I suppose. Well, I know it's easy for them. They don't know how to come up with anything original. Because at the moment it's just people hijacking existing franchises to push their agenda. But I suppose we'll have a little look at the story behind this, shall we? So Deadline reports that when approached by Universal to make a Jaws reboot, Spielberg rejected the idea outright. So it seems like that might indicate that he doesn't want to see any reboot whatsoever, even if the script is half decent. But again, like I said, why? Why do you need to reboot something? Well, some at Universal and Amblin Entertainment, Spielberg's production company, have said this wasn't a recent conversation and that it was already known. Spielberg's answer is still a firm no. In fact, in a previous interview, the famed director talked about his lack of interest in rebooting any of these movies, saying, "I would never remake one of my own movies, starting with Jaws." But at the moment, it's people looking to reboot other people's films. Because they can't seem to do it on their own. They can't come up with a good idea, as if it's that fucking difficult. But it's still surprising he's letting them go anywhere near Indiana Jones. Because we know what a shit show that's going to be. But of course, as it says here, he's obviously done countless sequels. I mean, the Indiana Jones, the like, sort of original trilogy, they're all on par with each other. Obviously, then we get to Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls, and it just went downhill a bit. They shouldn't have really brought the alien sort of concept into it. Same with Jaws, really. He's done. There's been quite a few sequels, even though he wasn't specifically attached. But obviously, I think the sequels just went downhill, really. I think the second one was kind of up there, and then after that, I think it wasn't really as good then. However, while Spielberg is more willing to make a sequel He has yet to reboot any of his films, meaning a reboot to Jaws does not seem likely. Good. Keep your greasy paws off another classic. That's what I say. Even if you had a good idea, I don't need to see it. We've already got Jaws. We don't need a reboot. Point the kids in that direction. Point them into, well, just go and watch that one that came out in the 70s, 80s or whatever. Yeah, the 1975. There's no need ever to do a reboot. It's just unnecessary. But that's what I mean. They only reboot things just to push their shit into it, really. But yeah, just stop doing reboots, Hollywood, because it's boring me. I want to see something fresh, something new. Comedy, the comedy genre of film that they do now, that's gone. They don't make classic comedy films anymore because they're not allowed to take risks and stuff like that. And it's just comedy films. There's hardly ever any like great comedy films that have you laughing your ass off. Especially in the last maybe 4 years, 5 years. There hasn't been much. But yeah, you can't imagine what they would do with this. Fucking hell, man. It would honestly. Jaws is a woman of colour. The pronouns are he and they. That's what they would probably do, wouldn't they? Or they'd be moaning, "Oh, all the people we eating ain't diverse enough." Or they'd probably make Jaws the hero or something. Like that seems to be their recent trend. They make the villains into the heroes. What? So I could see them doing that. Only if you can imagine them doing it, man. Yeah, it would probably just be a film about saving the environment or something. That's probably what Jaws would be if they did it in this day and age. But you know, it's a classic, and there's no need to touch it. There's no need to touch on Jaws ever again, really. We've got the classic, we've seen it. Why would we need to see a reboot of it? Like I said, we don't need reboots of anything. The films already exist. So you rebooting them, that isn't doing anything. That's just boring people to death. Because we want shit that we haven't seen before. That's what we want to see. So if Jaws already exists, how are you ever gonna match the original? You can't. It can't be done. If something's already a classic, it cannot be rebooted and be as good as the original. It's never happened, and it never will happen. But yeah, I'm quite surprised by this, actually. But I think that's all I've got to say on that. So if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.